Hey guys, Kevin here for the Attack of Opportunity. Just wanted to talk a little bit about a new game I've been playing through, and I've got a couple more of these that I'm going to be doing. My laptop's kind of on its last legs. I can't really do the game recordings right now, so I figured I've been doing some console gaming, some handhelds, things of that sort. So, we're going to talk a little bit about the first on that series, Bravely Default. So, the Bravely Default, first and foremost, for those of you unfamiliar with it, is a new game from Square Enix based heavily on their Final Fantasy series of games. If you've played Final Fantasy before, primarily like the earlier NES and early PS1 era games, very obvious influences. Like this one is basically a spiritual successor to that Four Warriors of Light game they made on the DS, and it plays wonderfully. It's also been mentioned that there's talks of a sequel to the game, Bravely Second. We don't know when, we don't know how, but there are talks of a sequel in the works already. The cool thing about this game is that it takes some really fun ideas into the battle system, the class system. The characters are all memorable. Like, yes, they have their issues, they have their quirks, but each of the characters in your party isn't just a nameless party member. They all have their own story. They all have personality, and I love it. It's very colorful. It's a very bright, vibrant world, and it's very, very much a fun little callback to the earlier games I know and love from the Final Fantasy series. So let me talk a little bit more about some of the new concepts they've added into the new combat system. First and foremost, the Brave and Default systems. Brave mode basically allows you to bank extra actions on your turn. Here's the drawback. On your turn, you start with 0 points. Brave points, as they're called in the game. That allows you one action, at which point your counter sets to -1, and you have to wait until your next turn to get another action. Now, using Brave mode, you can reset this to a total of 3 additional actions, setting your counter to a -4. Now you're stuck waiting until that counter reaches 0 again until you can act. And here is where the risk-reward system starts to kick in. For those of you who are impatient, want to be attacking all at once, cool, burn those 3 extra points. You're going to be waiting 3 turns before you get your next one. Or sometimes 4 if it's bad enough. This is quite frankly one of the best features in the game, in my opinion, just because it rewards you for taking risk, but it also punishes you if that risk does not work. The flip side of this, if you want to play more cautiously and you actually want to take the extra time and set this up, yes, you can have a character delay and wait 3 turns. And then you can use those 4 actions and still get your next turn because you stopped and waited for those turns. It rewards you for your patience, and it also punishes you if you decide to act out of turn. So learning the balance between those two is a really big part of this. Also, the class system from Final Fantasy III, X2, the early classes like the White Mage, the Black Mage, and all those make their reappearance, and you can change your character's classes freely. Perfect! I love it. It's just what I loved about the classic, Final Fantasy III, Final Fantasy V. Each character is not one cookie-cutter class. You can change them to be whatever the hell you want them to be, given that you have unlocked the prerequisite class for it. You want to be a White Mage? Cool. Get to the point in the story where you unlock the White Mage class, and you can be a White Mage slinging monk's abilities or slinging spells. Whatever you want them to do. It's great. I love it. The story is very simple. You are a group of adventurers who've set out upon the world to rescue it from some great evil. There's darkness spreading over the world, silencing the light of the 4 crystals again. But each of your characters has their own stories, their own backgrounds. I don't want to spoil everything here. I can't really talk too much about it. Your main character is basically a shepherd who has lost his family and is trying to save them. The cleric from one of the temples who's been struggling with the loss of some of her friends and her comrades as this conflict began. It's a very, very interesting story, and don't let the kitty artwork fail you. It's definitely worth taking. So for those of you who don't want to take my word for it, there's a demo on the eShop on the 3DS. Download it, play it, give it a look. It's a great game, and it definitely deserves more attention than it is getting recently. So thank you again for listening in. This is Kevin for the Attack of Opportunity, and I'll see you guys on the next